Hi, my name is Chad. I am from the channel Changing Lanes. Sorry Tara couldn't be with us here today, but if you want to check out our channel, it's changinglanesrv.com. Today I'm going to be showing you this 399TH by Grand Design. Welcome to the Grand Design family. We're going to be doing an exterior and interior walkthrough. Not all features are going to be the same across all Grand Design Momentums, but they will be similar. So we're going to start with the entry door. It's pretty straightforward. You have a handle here that you'll lift and then turn 90 degrees to lock it out. Your lock here has a standard lock and also a deadbolt lock. Do not lock this and leave your keys inside. It's a two-part door with both a screen door and a solid door. To use the screen door, you just slide this out of the way and you have a little handle here that you can detach. Close that back up so bugs don't get in and close it right up. Some doors will have a magnet and some will have a little T-latch back here. So you can lock that in so the wind doesn't blow it. The stairs are very simple. They have a hydraulic actuator to help you bring them down. So they're basically weightless. In fact, they might float up on you. What you'll want to do when you set up your RV for the first time is you'll want to level it first, which we'll get to. Then you want to adjust the stairs to the level of the ground. You can do that with these pins by popping them out and then sliding the legs up and down until they touch the ground. You want to make sure that this part of the door is not too high so it doesn't hinder the door closing, but also not too low where it doesn't push down on this. Also coming standard now are the LCI thin shade ready windows. You can actually put an accordion shade in here that can close this off and black it out when you don't want sunlight coming through. Here we have a standard 110 outlet and a shower port. The hose that comes with you for the wet bay will also connect here in case you want to hook up your hose to shower off your feet before you go inside. Your main storage bay also has these slam latches that do have locks on them. You want to make sure you lock those when you're away from the RV and also during your travel day. This one does have a magnet to hold that up out of the way. You'll have an access panel here in case you need to get to any of the wiring back there, but generally you won't have to. Your model should come with a power cord and a hose. And we'll show you where that connects. This is the part that I was talking about that connects right here. You have a motion sensor light in here that can also be turned manually on or off. And also very important is that your DC power disconnect. This will disconnect your battery from the rest of the RV. So you'll want to shut that off if you're going to be storing your RV. It disconnects the rest of the RV from the DC battery system. It's also handy if you ever have to restart any of your DC components like your LCI1 control or your leveling system to basically reboot it. That's where you can disconnect. Right here we have the Propane Bay. And in here you'll have a 20-pound propane tank, and there's one just like it on the other side. You'll want to make sure before travel that these straps are secured and latched all the way down. If they're partway off like that, that's no good. You also want to turn your propane off when you travel. On the front of the RV here, we have a light that we can turn on that will help you when you're hitching up in the dark. It turns on some lights on the front cap over your hitch there. And this is just a vent for your battery. You want to make sure this actually connects to a sealed battery compartment. If you have lead acid batteries, this helps it to vent. In your front bay, this also has a T-latch just like the door. If you selected the option, you'll have the 5500 Onan generator, which is a gas generator, and we'll get to the gas tank in just a minute down the side. You want to make sure that this stays on and closed, but in here you also have some breakers, so if you ever have any issues, you can always check these breakers. There's also a manual start here that you'll probably never use because you'll start from the inside. Additionally, you want to make sure that you change the oil in this after 50 hours of use and then follow the manufacturer's directions thereafter. Also, do not cover anything under here. It needs that ventilation under there for cooling. Also in this bay is where you'll find your batteries that supply DC power to your RV. It's probably going to come with one lead acid battery, and it is in a sealed box. You want to make sure that box stays sealed and that it stays vented to the tube that comes right to here. Additionally, in this bay is your hydraulic system. You have your reservoir right here that you'll want to make sure stays at an appropriate level. Also, you have an 80 amp breaker in there for your hydraulic systems. If you have any issues, this is where that breaker is. Up front here, we have the pin box. You'll want to refer to your owner's manual for your hitch, depending on what type of hitch you have and how you're going to hitch that up. One thing that is common though is your breakaway cable here. Of course, this will be connected to your truck, not to your hitch. This is so if the RV somehow becomes disconnected, pulling this pin applies 12 volts full to your brakes immediately. You don't ever want to pull this out, but you do want to make sure it's in and secure before every travel day. So tucked up inside here is a standard 7-pin trailer connector, so you do want to make sure your truck has this 7-pin connector. And here we have the wet bay. And again, this will be different depending on the model that you have. Some of them will have storage to the side and then the wet bay, but the wet bays are all fairly the same. In here we have the Nautilus P1 system, which is great because it has color-coded dials here that you can use to set dry camping mode, shore camping mode, sanitization, winterization. That'll all be in your Nautilus P1 manual. Additionally, most models will have a filter here. This filter does sit in front of this, so anything that goes in through your water port here goes through that filter. So if you're filling your fresh tanks or you're just running shore water, it all runs through that filter. You'll want to change that monthly. The white connection here is your primary water source. This is for both your shore water camping and it's also for your power fill for your fresh tanks. The black one here is your black water flush tank. You'll want to make sure you have a separate hose for that for sanitary reasons. And on the bottom down here is an auxiliary fill for your freshwater tanks. However, the tanks are interconnected, so filling one fills both. But in case you're in a hurry and you want to fill them both really fast, you can use both. Below that are your black tank valve and your 2 gray tank valves. This particular model, like much of the TH series, has 2 black tanks and 2 gray tanks. So you've got 4 dump handles total. 3 of them are up here, and they're going to come out the front port down here. Your black tank is on the left. Your front gray tank is in the middle. That's going to be your shower and your sink. Your rear gray tank is on the back one here, and that's going to be for your kitchen sink. Over to the left of your Nautilus panel here are your satellite and cable connections. They're all labeled as to which room they go. You also have 2 connections over here that go to other places in the RV. So this vent here is for heat to keep your wet bay warm, so if you're in freezing weather, it doesn't freeze. You also have another outlet here for 110 AC, and then you've got some low point drains down here for both your hot and cold side of your water system. Behind this panel is your water heater. On this, the things you're concerned about are this pressure relief valve. If you're ever going to work on it, do not touch this when the system is hot. Always drain all of your hot water before working on this. If you have a Dometic water heater like this one, it's going to come with an anode rod. This is a sacrificial anode rod. It's designed to corrode before your tank does, so you want to check this annually. You'll want to make sure that these stay free of obstructions like mud daubers, wasps, things like that. Go back to here. A note about hooking up your fresh water to shore water is you do want to use a pressure regulator, and you want to keep your pressure between 40 and 50 pounds, not over that. This is your 50 amp power connection. I showed you the power cord on the other side. You just want to make sure you get the right end to the right thing. It can only be hooked up one way. If you do require a connection to 30 amp power, you will need an adapter for that. This does push in and twist to connect, and a lot of connections will also have a screw around the outside here to secure it. Not this one. Down here is your generator exhaust. It is an engine exhaust, so when you dry camp, you want to make sure that that is off the ground. You also do want to check it every now and then to make sure no nests have been built in there that's free of obstructions. On some of your main larger slides like this, they are going to be through frame rack and pinion hydraulic slides. You'll want to make sure you keep those lubricated with silicone. All you really need to do with these is make sure that the gears stay lubricated with a dry lube like a Teflon based, and that the hydraulics stay lubricated with a silicone based spray. No petroleum products on those. On the front left of your RV will be a tire and loading information sticker, as well as your VIN number. This is the panel you want to pay attention for to know what pressure to set your tires to for travel. So the things to be concerned with down here are your main wastewater dump, which is the forward one there. That is the dump for your front black tank and both of your gray tanks. Just aft of that is a white handle. That white handle is your freshwater dump valve for your front main water tank. There's another one just like it over here for your rear water tank. If you ever need to dump your fresh water, you can pull both of those handles, let the fresh water dump, and then close them back up again. While we're down here, in regards to your tires, before travel day, you want to just inspect your tires, your treads, the sidewalls, make sure they're in good condition. You also want to check your leaf springs and your hangers, make sure those are all in good condition. And you want to check the torque on your lug nuts about once a month. This is the connection for your rear black tank flush, and your rear black tank comes out right down here. There are separate connections for your 3 tanks in the front, which is your black tank and 2 gray tanks. And then back here, it's just your black tank for the rear bathroom. Many times the bathroom sink also goes into that tank as well. Additionally, you'll want to check the pressure on your tires every time before you travel and make sure that the pressure matches what's on the sticker on the tire and loading information on the front left of the RV. In here we have the fuel station. Again, there's a lock on this. If I didn't mention it before, all the locks are key-to-like, so you have one key for everything. In the fuel station, we have 2 30-gallon gas tanks. The front one right here is for the generator. That supplies 30 gallons of gas for that generator. And in the rear here is the actual toy fuel station, which is controlled right here. This fuel gauge is just for this tank. The fuel gauge for this tank will be on the Lippert 1 control on the inside. To be able to see the fuel level, you have to push and hold this to fuel. You turn this pump on, and then you use the handle here, just like a regular gas pump. Now you can use this to fuel toys, or you can use it as an auxiliary tank for your generator, simply by pumping right in here. This is the ladder that you will use to access the roof. You use it by pulling these 2 pins, pulling this out, and locking it down in place. This does have a 300-pound weight capacity, so be sure not to exceed that. You'll want to use this to get on your roof before travel day and also for periodic inspections of your roof to look for things like any tears, any loose sealant, any shrunken sealant. The lap sealant that is on these things does shrink, so you do need to check that periodically and apply new lap sealant. On the rear is your patio/ramp door. This additionally has locks that are key-to-like just like the rest of them. I'm going to pull this out and rotate it out of the way. Same on this side. Once you rotate that out of the way, it is counterbalanced, so it comes down pretty easily. You can see I'm just doing this with one finger. As you're bringing this down, these do sometimes have a tendency to hang here, so make sure these don't hang underneath these connections. And just bring it all the way to the down position. This ramp has a 3,000-pound capacity in ramp mode. To get it in ramp mode, you simply disconnect these. Push it to the ground, and then you can load your toys. Once this is in patio mode, it has a 1,500-pound weight capacity. To set up your patio, these rails just roll right out and click into place down here. These simply extend out, click into place. This one also clicks into place. Oops. And then this closes the door. If you decide to put your patio steps on, they go right here. This ramp has a 3,000 pound capacity in ramp mode. Additionally, you don't want to put more than 1,000 pounds per wheel on it in ramp mode. So if you happen to have a 2,500 pound motorcycle, you can't use it. The rear door works just like the front door. You've got a two-part door here on the screen. One difference back here is you don't have the solid step. You have the aluminum tread steps. They just pop down like this. Then you've got a 4-step access into the rear of the toy hauler. Obviously, you want to make sure these are stowed before travel and in there and good. And we'll get to that stuff inside. This particular model is the 399TH. It's the only one that has a side patio like this. You'll notice the latches are a little bit different than the rear door. On these, of course, you have a key just like the rest. Pull this out, pull this down, and then rotate the lock out of the way. Same on this side. This one does not have the power assisting, so be a little bit careful pulling it down. If you're going to be using this in patio mode, you want to put your support leg down. That's a single pin here. I'll drop this leg down, and then you want to drop this one to the ground. These patio rails set up much like the rear patio rails. We'll show you those once we get inside. So to extend your patio rails out here, you just loosen your Velcro straps, push the one out. These will lock in down here. Oh, that's it. Setup of the patio for the 399TH will be its own video because it's quite a process all by itself. This is the back side of the absorption fridge. On the bottom here we have the intake. This pulls air in, and on the top we have the exhaust. You'll want to make sure, just like the other side, you want to keep these things free of any obstructions. Do not put any screens over this. Additionally, you want to inspect in there now and again and make sure that nothing is in there, no debris, no wasp nests, things like that. You'll also notice on the top side of this, there's a big piece of wood across there that may look like it's not supposed to be there, but it is. It's designed to make sure that the air goes past the fins, so do not remove that piece of wood. Over to the left here, we have an exhaust vent for the range. On the inside, when you turn on the exhaust fan, it comes out here. A little note about this, there are 2 levers, one on each side of this, that you can use to seal it closed or allow it to flap open. You want to have it be able to flap open most of the time, and the only time you really want to seal that down is in high winds. This is the Norcold absorption refrigerator, which means it can operate on 110 volts AC or on propane plus 12 volts DC. All the settings for that are right here. You have a power button, and then you also have a selector here. One of them is for automatic, one is for AC, and then one is for propane, where you can select those 2 manually or let it choose based on what's available. Generally, you want to leave this in automatic mode. That way it switches over to AC power when you're hooked up to shore power, and then to propane when you're not connected. The freezer does require some defrosting now and again. Based on your use, you'll know because it'll have frost all over it. Additionally, behind this panel, you're going to see a hose like this. This hose comes from the drip pan on the inside of your RV, and there is supposed to be a plastic cap on the end here. Do not remove this. This is designed to hold a couple of drops of water so that it stops moisture from going up the line into your refrigerator. Well, you'll want to make sure that this pan isn't filling up and that the hose stays in here. It generally should not be bleeding enough water to fill this up. It should be evaporating. This is the hose that leads to the outside that we showed you out there. You want to make sure that this stays connected to this drip pan. As condensation forms on your fins, it'll drip into that pan and then run to the outside. Insignia Microwave works just like a standard microwave. This is your vent, where I talked about the vent on the outside. 2-speed. But again, without the little flapper valve open on the outside, that air doesn't have anywhere to go. So if you're going to use that fan, make sure that vent is open out there. For the Insignia 4-burner stovetop here and oven, you want to make sure that when you use it, that you open up the blinds here so they're not catching that heat. And also make sure that your cables for your blinds are away from your burners. Most of your Momentums are going to come with the Lippert 1 control system, so refer to your owner's manual on that. But that is where you'll control your slides and your air conditionings and zones and things of that nature. If you opted for the Rockford Fosgate stereo system, that'll be in here also. Again, it's different on each model. This particular model has separate volume controls for the exterior in the garage, whereas your main control volume is for in here. Also standard on this model, as well as some others, is the central vacuum system. Sometimes it'll be in here, and on other models, the front of this will be down in the basement. You do have a vacuum connection right here, and your bag is right inside there. Just like any other vacuum cleaner, you'll want to make sure you change that bag periodically. You also have a kick plate that allows you to sweep your floors over to this area and then kick it up. Also, every model is going to have a fire extinguisher just inside the door here. The model may vary, so be sure to read the instructions on it and take care of it and provide proper inspections and maintenance. You'll have one of these MaxxAir Air Excel vents in the main living area as well as in the bathrooms. And to operate those, it's a 1-button push. Will actually turn the fan on and open the vent. Down here, and in some models you'll actually find it on the islands, is your CO2 and propane detector. So if you have a propane or CO2 leak, this will go off. If it starts to beep, read the instructions on the front of it. It probably needs a new battery. In addition to your propane and carbon monoxide detector down here, we have smoke and CO2 detectors on the ceiling right here and also in the bedroom. Maintain those just like you would any smoke detector. If it starts to beep, it probably needs a new battery. In addition to the controls built into the LCI 1 control, you do have some manuals underneath here that you can use in lieu of those. Be sure to read your manual as to which switches do what. In both the bedroom and in the garage, you have special egress windows that have these red handles on them. To use them, you just pull this out, and this will actually push right out and come right off. Under your bed, it's a pretty easy lift. Lots of storage under here. This is where you'll probably find the legs for the table that goes in the garage, and you may also find some bar stools under here or perhaps some folding chairs depending on which model. The control for your MaxxAir fan in here is on the wall, just like the one down there in the kitchen. The shower doors have this special lock right here for travel. So you'll have it unlocked, obviously, for day-to-day use. But on travel days, you want to make sure that this is locked down good and tight till it clicks. When you get your unit, it is going to come with some holding tank treatment. You can use this to treat your black tanks. There are a lot of different treatments on the market. Do some research, find out which one is right for you. You're also going to get the parts and pieces for your toilet paper hanger roll. Again, it's completely up to you where you want to put this. A lot of people put it behind the main door down here. Your RV toilet works a little bit differently than a regular toilet. You want to make sure you keep about a ½ inch to an inch of water in there to keep that seal wet. And periodically, if it starts to lose water, you'll want to get some plumber's grease on that seal, and that'll take care of it. Also, when you're ready to travel, you want to make sure that your pocket doors are open. and that you have these straps strapped around there. There's one for this door and one for that door. If you only have one door, obviously you'll have just one strap. For all of your pull shades in here, they are blackout shades, which is really nice. And if you find that they're not going all the way up, each one of them on the left-hand side has an adjustment. You just rotate it in the direction that it rolls up to tighten it, give it a little more tension so they go all the way up. Additionally, these pull cords can be slid to either side. So you can have them in the middle, or you can pull them all the way over out of the way. You want to make sure that the blinds are in the up position when you're ready to travel. And that pretty much goes for all of your blinds, and the reason for that is so they don't bang around while you're traveling. All of your windows in here, crank them clockwise to open them up, like this. And this way to be closed. When you're ready to travel, again, you want to make sure they're good and snug. Same thing with your side windows, but the side windows do slide up and down. You want to make sure they're closed for travel. When you get your new toy hauler, you're going to find you have a couple of ladders. One of those ladders is for the loft area, which is kind of like the little bunk that's right up here. Another ladder is for the bed that we're going to show you in just a minute how to bring that down. Additionally, in the garage here, you have a couple of forced air vents. You've got one on the upper left up here and one on the lower right. These can be opened like so air is forced in, and then you can open up the other one the other direction. You can also open it up the other way if you wanted to pull air out. Again, entirely up to you. You probably want to keep these closed in the rain, however. On this wall, in this particular model, are your washer and dryer connections. Depending on the model, they may be in the garage. Some models have them in the bedroom. This one here, you can see you've got your connections for hot and cold, as well as your drain and your 110 AC for them. On the wall here are all of the controls for both of your awnings on this side and the rear, if so equipped, as well as lights and your Happy Jack bench, which we're going to show you right now. So the Happy Jack system has a couple of different modes. As you can see right now, it's in travel mode where everything is up. So we're going to bring this thing down into bench mode just by pushing bed down. You'll notice that the bed stayed up when I brought this down, but we're going to show you how to bring the bed down in just a minute. So you want to bring these down until they come to a stop. You'll know when that happens. And to make these into benches, these just flip around like this. And you have a leg down here that you'll want to push in, rotate that down. Same thing on this side, you've got a leg that pops down. I don't think I have the benches all the way down. So additionally, if you want to run this thing in bed mode, you want to pop these legs out on the back here. It's easiest to do while this is part way up, so you don't have to crawl under there. And then again, just put it all the way down, and then you want to make sure you have all 4 legs extended for bed mode. So let's talk about the top bunk. To get the top bunk down, what you have to do is flip these over like that. You flip these over like that, and you do that on all 4 corners. And now, when we run the bed up, it's going to push a releasing mechanism on the bed so that we can bring it down. So when the bed gets all the way to the top here, you're going to actually hear it. It'll sound different than it does when you put it all the way up with those little latches out. Perfectly normal sound, people. That sound is perfectly normal. That just detached the bed so you can bring it down. Once this thing gets to a certain point, you'll see the bed actually stop moving, and that's locked into place, and then the benches will keep coming down. Right about there. You'll notice it has snap clips right here to hold the table down while you travel. And again, this table has 3 post holes in it. You have 3 post holes in the floor, and those 3 posts that I showed you under the bed all go together to make a table here. So you can see that you can bring the bed back all the way down and have it be almost like 2 queen-size bunks, or you can put it down and put it back into bench mode and set your table up, and you can have this thing set up a multitude of different ways. To get the bed back into travel mode, you flip these back over. Always be sure that all 4 of those are in the same position. You don't want to have one unlock and one unlock and have a bad problem there. So again, they're in normal position now, so that when this goes back up, it'll lock into place. Again, perfectly normal sound. That was them locking in. And you'll see now if I bring the bed down, the top bed stays in place. You always want the entire system in the up position when you travel. All the instructions for these can be found right over here. As I mentioned, in the front bedroom, just like in there, you have emergency exits on all 3 of these windows. This is also how you just open the window. This mode right here, you see you've got a couple, you can latch right there to have the window open, but in an emergency you'll pull the screen off and push the whole thing out. Also for emergencies, you have another fire extinguisher back here. This one is a full ABC fire extinguisher versus the other one, which is a kitchen fire extinguisher. Just like that one, read the label and make sure you maintain it. The blinds back here are accordion blinds. Just like the rest of them, you want to have them in the up position when traveling so they don't bang all around. So if you opted for the Lippert 3-season doors, those are right here. Really nice. They just slide up and down. You've got, where are they? The ability to slide these all the way down, have a nice screen here, or have them up in the closed position. When you want to use this thing in garage loading mode, you'll open these, and then you've got a pull handle right here that releases these so they open all the way up. And you would just remove these cables, put the ramp all the way down to load your toys.